Because of the following special program, Wonder Woman and the Incredible Hulk will not be presented this evening.
It's time to get all your Star Wars news in a single file. This is Making Tracks. Here are your hosts, Mark Newbold and Dave Tree.
That's not true. That's impossible.
You're listening to episode 14 of Making Tracks. I'm your co-host Mark Newbold, and joining me today, as always, it's the man with the plan. I'm handing straight over to him in Fordingbridge, a dungeon somewhere. Dave, do your intro thing.
Nobody ever told me there was a plan. Like, if there was a plan, we'd be like remotely organised, surely.
You'd think.
Oh man! Hello everyone, it's Dave from All the Cool Stuff. Hope you're doing well and you're keeping out of trouble. Mark, what's new?
It's the usual nonsense, Dave. Dodging the weather, drinking water, writing loads of stuff, drinking lots of tea. I've currently got I've got a Harry Potter mug in my hand right now, drinking tea, so that's keeping me going. Yeah, it's all good. It's busy, but I like it busy. How about you?
No, it's crazy. We just done the LEGO Day, which you and Ruth came down for,
Yeah.
and we also had other Fantha team members there. Matt and Martin came down for that. And then this weekend, I have the first Fordingbridge Toy Fair. It's the first time we've done it,
Yeah.
and it's going to be a general toy fair. All kinds of crazy toys and collectibles and memorabilia, but I think it's fair to say that you will see a large degree of Star Wars associated merchandise there as well. So that's quite exciting. So I'm at all hands at the deck as well.
As usual.
Yeah.
We'll throw news about that on the site this week. Obviously, it's coming up on us fast. Good luck with that. That
Thank
sounds
you.
fantastic. Let's get straight into it because we have got a chock-a-block episode today. Let's go back to the start of last month. That's the start of October, when me, Matt and Brian and Martin were all over in New York for New York Comic Con. Had a blast of a time. Hopefully you enjoyed the content we brought. Big Kev, part of the team, drove from miles out and came and picked us up and drove us all the way back to a Mongolian restaurant. Now, when we're in the car with this little bit of audio, we're just rabbiting away and it just tickled me, so I wanted to put it in. This is us driving to a restaurant. We had no idea where we were going, talking a little bit about what was happening at New York Comic Con.
So it is 11:42 on Monday night and we are live from Big Kev's car. How you doing, Kev?
We're live from Big Kev's rental.
Rental car. Oh yeah, your car's bigger than this, isn't it?
And in Hawaii.
Oh yeah. Aloha. Who else is in the car with us? Who's in the back seat?
I'm in the back seat. It's
That'll be
Mark.
Mr. Mark Newbold.
Hello.
And Brian. McMuffin Cameron.
Hello.
And Martin Keeler. So what have we been doing this evening, boys?
Not finding Blu-rays.
Not finding Blu-rays at Target.
So we went toy hunting.
Can you possibly feel the joy or hear it in my voice that we haven't found the only thing that Brian Cameron wants? Because that's what you're hearing. This is the sound of the joy at the misfortune of others. Schadenfreude, it's called in German.
Is that what they call it in Germany?
Yeah, Schadenfreude.
Okay, that's a good word. It's a good German word.
I've been quite amused by it, really.
I found lots of random tap, but I was disappointed that there was no
What
Target
random
Blu-ray.
Star Wars tat did you buy, Mr. Newbold, this year?
A solo bag, a Last Jedi colouring book for children. What else? The little Micro Force. They've done a solo wave, so I bought a bag of that just to.
Of course you did.
And
Did you buy the Troop multi-pack? The 3/4 inch 5 POA Troop multi-pack from Solo? It was really nice.
no,
You didn't buy that? Too nice.
I didn't see it.
You weren't looking hard enough. First time I've seen that and the play sets, they were quite nice.
Yeah, now I'm going to disagree with you. 5 POA? Why would I even waste my money?
Somebody said to me the other day, the thing about 5 POA that gives it an advantage over super articulated is it makes a nice silhouette, which I thought was an interesting way of looking at it.
What, when they're posing with their hands in front of the air?
Yeah.
It's either you've got your hands in your pockets, you've got your hands out stretching, or you're doing stick 'em
Every
up.
day is Halloween if you're a 5 POA figure.
Yeah.
Frustratingly for me, I saw 2 shelves worth of the exclusive Solo Chewbacca that you really struggle to find anywhere.
Oh, in the goggles?
Yeah.
Really?
Is it posh one, that one?
No.
No.
It's just after
Hang on.
out the shelf.
Doesn't matter. Did you find any Zuvios?
No.
Oh, God.
Ah. Fail, New Jersey.
Well,
Two
frankly,
stores.
the whole of America is a lie.
Really?
with its endless cases of Zuvios.
So all you Americans on the internet use lying to Martin, telling them it's full of Zuvios, and it's not.
These 5-cent ones that they can't get rid of.
3 cent, I heard.
3
3 cents. You can get rid of them, you just ship them to Martin, and he'll be lovingly, caringly looking after them.
What I did find was there was a stack of about 30 Target exclusive solo Blu-rays that apparently no one really wanted. So
Really?
I just kept quiet because I didn't want to embarrass anyone.
Yeah, fair enough. So what have we done today?
What have we done today?
We got up fairly lazily because we did Comic-Con for like 4 days and really burnt ourselves out because we're old men.
Yeah, it was a late start today, and then it was into town.
Only 4 days, huh?
Only 4 days.
And you're
Lightweight.
complaining.
No, not complaining. Just we're old men.
I did 5 days.
You did 5,
so,
yes, yeah.
Just saying.
And we ate our birth weight in pizza last night before watching Resistance.
It was a late night.
Yeah.
Because the kids' cartoon was
Because the kids' cartoon premiered at 11 at night.
And Nurse Who.
Yeah, well, 4 of us coped. Paul McHugh coped with Mark and Martin. And Brian fell asleep.
Yeah.
Didn't you, Brian?
Yes.
And I thought it'd be hilarious to do a little video. So we did a little review video of Resistance, only a minute long. Put it on the Instagrams and tagged all the people we knew who were in it and working on it. And the star of the show, Brian, what did he comment about you falling asleep?
I can't remember what he said.
No, because you've had a nap since.
The only part of the show that I remember was the part where the character said to always be honest, and I was. It drove me to sleep.
So the message and story and blog of the week, Brian was actually honest about it. Yeah, Mr. Christopher Sean told us as a reply that it's a very good show if you manage to stay awake. No, there was one of the bit you liked, wasn't there, Brian? What was the bit you really liked about the show?
BB-8 getting kicked in the backside.
Hang on, where's BB-8's backside? He's spherical.
Yeah.
That's like saying the corner of a round room, isn't it? It's not, you know.
It's the bit where the flame comes out.
Oh, that would be it.
Was it where the oil leaks?
It was his backside at the moment because his face was forward.
No,
His face, his eye.
Yes, that makes sense.
His photoreceptor.
But today we went to Tops. We managed to get to Tops on Whitehall Street, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mark there took us around, showed us the offices. We did a box break of the... Oh, what was the series of the box break we did?
Galactic
Files, yeah. I should know that. I'm very tired. But it was really good. We got you pulled out a gold Luke Skywalker card.
One of like 30.
Less than that, I think. I think he said it was less than that. And yeah,
Archive series.
Lovely. We got a Kieron Shah's character from Last Jedi, Canto Bite character whose name I have no idea what it was. Didn't tell Mark that we had Kieron on our table at Burnley. Very, very drunk, which was funny. And he chatted at my wife at a wedding reception not that long ago.
Oh.
But yeah, it was good. We had a good day. It was a
Very good day. And we saw David Tennant.
And we saw David Tennant on Times Square.
Walk through Times Square, look up at a poster on a billboard, and we're like, oh look, it's some like grass and stuff with loads of people in it. And there's David Tennant.
That's right.
And then we walk like 20 yards up the road into Times Square itself, and he walks right past me.
But he was wearing denim with denim.
Yeah. Double faux pas.
Fashion faux pas.
Yeah.
I thought that was a shrewd move.
Yeah.
Because I think people would be bothering him, but then...
People would be bothered by him in that double denim.
I'm not going to go near that.
I did look him straight in the face and say David, and he just completely ignored me.
Standard.
Maybe it wasn't him.
Oh, it was him.
Oh,
All
it's definitely
been
him.
there.
Oh, it was him. Oh, you've all ignored me, have you? Yeah. So we fly home tomorrow.
Yay!
Yeah.
Back to England.
Back to proper Egg McMuffin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. They're just as proper in the UK. You just don't know what an English muffin is.
Well, I'm going to fly home with David Tennant. Going to go for the hat trick.
Or someone that looks like David Tennant.
Yeah. Some swarthy guy that needs a
Does
shave.
Martin collect Zuvio? I don't think I knew that.
No?
No.
What, you've not followed?
No. Well, maybe I did know that because I could swear I remember seeing a post about that. But I don't think Martin might not be aware of one of the most famous pieces in my collection is actually a Zuvio figure that is signed by J.J. Abrams.
What?
Wow.
Yes.
I love you.
Now, why did JJ specifically sign a Zuvio? Was it just a happenstance? It was the nearest figure to hand.
No. This was all planned. I was trying to decide. I had an opportunity to meet J.J. Abrams, or to at least have something signed by J.J. Abrams.
Where was that?
At Sirius XM Radio.
Oh, right, yes.
And I selected Zuvio because I was trying to think of a character to get him to sign that I could grab a 6-inch of. And when I went to Target, literally at that time, the only one that was there was Zuvio, which I thought was perfect considering he had been made into a figure and cut from the film entirely.
No, he's not.
Oh, not entirely.
Lies.
He's in three frames
Deception.
and he's-
Sorry.
And he's the star of The Force Awakens.
Okay. Well, that was what's available, so that's what JJ signed, which I thought was pretty funny.
I'm insanely jealous.
Yeah.
Insanely jealous of that.
Well,
Explain to Kev how many Zuvios you have, Martin.
I've got 28 Black Series now. I've got 250 3.75.
3 3/4 inch.
Yeah.
And why?
Because you never know when you need a
Yeah.
good police force behind you.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And main reason is when episode 9 comes out and it shows that Zuvio has all the answers to Rey's parentage and everything that went on.
Yeah.
Everyone will want that figure and I'll just be rich.
With that number of Zuvios, has one of them been promoted to sergeant?
Or are they all constables?
Oh, they're all constables.
They're all constables.
Yeah.
I like Zuvio because he looks like he would fit in the vintage line.
Yeah. He's an awesome figure.
Yeah. Well, what did Mr. Steve Evans announce at Comic-Con?
That he wants it to be in the archive collection.
Yeah, live on the sci-fi stage.
He listened to me and he responded.
You did make full eye contact though. I mean, it's quite intimidating when
You know
you're holding
that is
the Zuvio
actually-
in
when I was
front of
holding
your
a
face.
Zuvio in front of him.
You never make full eye contact. Not with the Hasbro
So
employee.
hopefully in about 4 years, might see that on a shelf.
Yeah.
Warming the pegs.
But none to be found on this trip.
One.
Oh, sorry, two.
One.
There you go, New York.
You didn't find any.
No, I found none.
Your staff
one.
found them
Your
for you.
staff found them for you.
But that puts it where it is. Everyone says about how common a figure Zuvio is. New York Comic Con 2.
Have you ever met? I don't think you've met Big Kev, have you?
No, I haven't. I've never done any US-based Star Wars event. Only G.I. Joe, strangely enough.
Of course.
So I've never made any of the US or stateside-based celebrations. It will be on the bucket list one day. Not been able to get over that, and not done New York Comic Con either. So have yet to meet Big Kev.
You've got to meet Kev. One, it's worth going all the way over there to meet Kev. Just make sure you take a great big bunch of those chunky Kit Kats with you because he kind of likes them. It's just like throwing fish at a seal. It's great. He's a real character. But we've got to get that right. We've got to. New York Comic Con's huge fun.
Next time.
Defo.
Hello, I'm Warwick Davis, and you're listening to Fantha Tracks.
Now, whilst we're still on, and this is probably the final bit of audio we'll have from New York Comic Con, Matt, coming out of the press room, saw Kieron Gillen, Star Wars comic author Kieron Gillen, walking the other way, and Matt being Matt, he stopped and spoke to Matt, and here's a bit of audio. He
tried running.
He tried, but Matt's quicker than he looks. Kieron and Matt talking a little bit about comics and Life of the Universe and everything near the press room at New York Comic Con.
I'm here at New York Comic Con with Kieron Gillen, writer of Vader, the old series, and Dr. Aphra, and now taken over since we last saw you on the new Star Wars.
Yes. I just waved at the phone, which gives an implication of how my brain is working today. Failing to remember that you can't record a wave. Sound wave, obviously, I guess.
Yes,
Anyway.
we're recording sound waves.
Yes,
So,
that's true.
Star Wars.
Yes.
What a journey. What a blooming journey.
Thank you. It's like, I kind of view it like my Darth Vader, honest. I've got a story I'm going to tell. It's kind of, okay, what is the fundamentally interesting thing that happens to Han, Luke and Leia between those two movies? And of course, everything that Jason didn't do, I'm going to do. So that's kind of that emotional. So having this arc at where at the moment, we're just about to finish Hope Dies. I don't know, we finished this week. Hope Dies ended this
I've not read it this week because I've been out here like you.
Apparently it released this week, and that kind of... It's an enormous cataclysmic battle. That was kind of like, I knew it was like set up, and then like we knocked down all the dominoes in the middle.
You trashed everything down. So
Yeah.
did you When you got the gig taken over onto Star Wars from Jason, did you work out that you were gonna? Did you sort of plot out where you're gonna go from when you took over?
Yeah.
To build in the character you had with Vader.
And actually, like Trios seemed like a useful character. It's like that kind of like when I started because I knew that issue 50 I wanted to do what became the Battle of Makota.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be this enormous thing with the Rebel fleet which they built. In other words, that means we've got to build the Rebel fleet across the first 12 issues just to blow it up.
You really did destroy it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was the kind of so at that point I started thinking about ingredients. I mean, oh no, we've got like Trios slung around, especially because Leia's so important to this arc.
Yes.
Trios is a kind of like inversion of Leia, and these kind of like rulers with very different sort of perspectives. So it was a really interesting one to go. Trios was interesting. That kind of I always liked it in Vader, and the idea. Oh no, you could definitely have some fun here.
Were you helping out with Aphra still, or have you let the other guys just go off on their own?
They are off on a journey. In fact, I think the last issues is out short. I think the last issue in the arc, which I co-plotted, came out this week maybe, or maybe last week.
Last week? Yeah, I think last week.
And that is basically the end of. I mean, I'm really good mates with Sai, so it's not like
baby.
It's not like I'm not involved in any way. But that kind of in around it. No, Sai is the entire last arc was Sai was writing.
Right.
We co-plotted it, but we co-plotted on the high level, and the execution is so much about like where he was coming from. But there's it's still fun to see like bits which I had completely in the outline originally, and how Sai is executed. Like the bit where basically where Aphra. When Aphra basically, she's got one call to make, she calls Tolvan.
Yeah.
And that kind of, literally, I'm calling you to tell you about Darth Vader's plans, because that means you're going to die too, so rescue me. And how Asai executed that was like, it was a joy to see. That was exactly like...
An amazing sort of derelict spaceship.
Yeah, that was fully Sai's. I think that was Sai's idea. I'm pretty sure that was Sai's idea.
It's really cool, some great ideas going in, the whole gang and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like he's created this... Sai's added so much stuff to the franchise and the character and stuff around Aphra, and it goes to really interesting places. So
play around in your sandpit.
It's a big, larger sandpit.
Yeah,
and it's like.
But you created that little corner of the sandpit, I suppose.
There's a saying I think you can't for work for hire you can't get too attached because it's not yours.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have a sense that when I'm writing characters in a shared universe, the characters become more real when someone else writes them. As in, they're less me and more. Like a creature of us outside of me. So it's quite fun to see Aphra running off and doing her own thing. Little baby girls all grown up.
And you got an action figure of her. How cool was that?
It's very cool.
Have you got one?
I haven't. No, I've got a shop. The Big Bang, my favourite shop in Ireland. Not actually, my shop in Ireland. Occasionally, they're really very good at supporting us, and they're getting a copy for me, which I've yet to get because we're very bad at organising it. But I've seen them in the flesh. They look amazing.
Cool. So what's next for you? Other than Star Wars, what are you working on else?
Well, the main reason I'm at the con is I'm doing a book called Die, which is a book from Image, working with Stephanie Hands, who's an amazing painted artist. And I sort of boiled it down to goth Jumanji. But it's that kind of it's a very, very bleak take on the Narnia and Dungeons and Dragons kind of as in the 80s cartoon setting. So it's about it's a midlife crisis book. It looks astounding. If you just Google Kieron Gillen Die, you'll find... probably people being angry about me, but you'll also find that
no death threats.
diecomic.com, and they've got we've got a trailer there which explains what the comic's about.
Cool. It's in previews. You can order it in your comic stores now.
Well, now out December.
Out December.
Yes.
Cool. And you're doing plenty more Wicked Divine.
Yeah. We're heading towards the end of that, as it ends next July. That's the other reason we're here, to do some press for the final arc.
And Cinema Purgatoria?
That is trundling along. I finished my script so that my story ends at issue 18. So I've written them all, and I don't know when that happens. And Uber's wrapping up. Oh, and just announced a book called Dynamite, Peter Cannon Thunderbolt, which is my which is my revival. Me and Casper Windjard's revival of a 1960s Charlton character, which is a lot of fun.
And lots of Star Wars still to come?
Yes.
You've got a long plot ahead of you?
It's me, I always know the end of my journey, so it's another couple of arcs at least.
Yeah? Yeah. Just enjoying it, playing in the universe.
Yeah, it's I said, I've got a story to tell, and I get to the end of the story but stop. And the same as my Darth Vader, and then I'm not particularly interested in doing an ongoing...
I was gutted when that ended.
Yeah, it's also...
But I can see where... If I had time to sit and reread it, I'd love to see the whole arc and the story of where you took it round through.
Exactly. I tend to... I don't mean pretentiously, but I tend to think what I do is novels. Here's a novel told in chapters. That's what we did.
So you've got a plot to the end.
Yeah.
You know where you're going with it.
Yeah. It's fun.
Cool. Thanks a lot. See you again soon.
See you soon. Right, man.
Cheers.
As we speak, it's the day after the sad, very sad passing of Stan Lee. 95, what a great innings he had, and what a sort of amazing contribution well, not even a contribution. He kind of set this whole damn thing up, didn't he? If you think about it, but
yeah, totally.
To Marvel, to comics, to media, entertainment, and popular culture, and Star Wars, because obviously he took a punt on Star Wars back in the day. What are your thoughts on Stan Lee passing away at such a great age? It's got to be said.
It's a real hard one to kind of process because, like you say, he not only reached a phenomenal age, but he was working to that age, whereas most people would have taken a back seat long before hitting your 70s, let alone your 80s and into your 90s. But continuing to do like convention appearances and cameo spots in different bits and bobs. It's one of those things that you kind of like, he's always there and now he won't be. It's like a limbo. It's very hard to kind of like put into words and express because in many ways he will never go away because of everything that was set up and where popular culture, what it's now become. It's hugely sad and no denying about that. For him and everybody else that he's worked with creatively live on through the things that have been set up. And that is just, a legacy second to none, really, in terms of pop culture.
Oh, yeah. You think of Marvel and you think of Stan. There isn't a specific name you put to DC. He was the focal point of that whole thing, even though he'd technically left Marvel a long time ago. I know he was publisher emeritus or something. He had like the lifetime chairman of Marvel, and can't imagine the world without somebody like that. I think I put on a message yesterday online saying, for me anyway, it was like, it's Walt Disney, it's Stan Lee and George Lucas. And I know they were all collaborative people. They wouldn't have got where they were without wonderful teams that they put together. But they're the big three for me. Terribly sad, but I've got to say 95, that's a good in. I'd take 95. Right now, I would take 65, let alone 95.
Hello, Fantha Tracks. Fantha Tracks. Hi, Fantha Tracks.
We've, for the last 3 weeks, or 3 episodes rather, have been speaking to Greg Hildebrandt, legendary artist Greg Hildebrandt. Right now, it's our final chat with Greg. If you've been following Fantha Tracks, we actually caught up with him at New York Comic Con as well. So there's a video out there on the YouTube channel on Fantha Tracks TV with us talking to Greg, me and Matt. But here's the final part of our chat with Greg, talking about, believe it or not, Star Wars stuff. What did you focus on? What did Tim focus on? Were you very similar in style?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. When we worked together, we were. Then when we worked separately, we did our own thing. But no, we did a little of everything. Tim could do a little of everything. I could do a little of everything. There's sometimes on certain imagery you might favor something, and the guy would take it over. We would start a picture together. Like the Rings say, we would read the books, obviously, read them, mark all the scenes off to illustrate. Holy crap, how do you do that? You got to pick 12 months, a centerfold, and a cover for a calendar. You got thousands of potential illustrations out of the Lord of the Rings. I mean, it's like, holy crap. So you go through that process. We both do that. He read, I read. We mark scenes off separately. Now you end up with hundreds and hundreds of scenes, and then you start to have a conversation about the process of what we're going to choose, how we're going to choose. All right, good guys, bad guys, maybe 50-50, who knows yet. Medium shot, long shot, interior, exterior, warm light, cool light. Those became the guiding principles to make a decision. And that's a discussion that we're having together. And as we're picking the scenes out. And then Tim would probably go and do his thing with sketching some layouts. I would do sketching some layouts. We'd get together, look them over, pick one or the other, or combine some elements of one, shift the angle a little bit. And then and it came time to, with every process we pose, back then and still now, get costumes, made costumes back then with the Rings. We didn't have, there was no Lord of the Rings costumes laying around. And we, the first calendar was just blankets and sheets and stuff like that. Then in the next calendar, we spent a lot more. We only had 6 months to do that first calendar. It was like all those paintings, read it in detail, select the scenes, do the layouts, bring them in, get them approved, do the paintings. When it got to the painting phase then, back then, and as any time in our career, we transferred the final drawing, which were approved by Ballantine, Judy Lester and Ian Summers, at Ballantine Books. And then we transferred that to the Masonite. We painted on Masonite back then on the Rings. I'm painting on canvas now. I like the surface better. It's just kind of more friendly. And we would prepare the Masonite. We'd gesso it a little thin, sand it down nice and smooth, transfer the drawing to the Masonite, and one of us would start. And then we'd transfer two. One would start one would start the other. Then we'd switch them back and forth. And they were painted quite large. So then we put the palette in the middle between us and both paint at the same time.
Wow.
Two guys. and then one would paint for a while together. We painted together, and then one of us would take a break and sit back and observe what the other guy was doing and be the director, say, wait a minute, that the light's got to be a little stronger there in the center. It's to get a little more yellow into the light source for that kind of thing. Back and forth, kind of detaching yourself from the actual process to being an observer, analyzing it, and we would do that with each other like that. That's pretty much the way we worked together. We did that all of our lives since we were little kids.
I was going to say, because you did the first, was it the first 3 Lord of the Rings calendars?
Yep. Well, there was J.R.R. dated Tolkien's own stuff. He did all the artwork that he did. Ballantyne was printing those, and then there was a fan, what they referred to as a fan artist, who did a calendar, Tim Kirk. And the back of that calendar, they had an appeal to illustrators who wanted to interpret the Lord of the Rings, called Ballantyne Books. Can you imagine doing that today? No. I mean, it would be inundated. Tim and I were the only professionals that responded. Every other response that Ian Summers, the art director, got, portfolios, samples, all kinds of stuff, were from fans, like from college kids and high school kids. And there was no professional. There was a weird conversation that derided fantasy art back then. Like comic books were always derided, and rock and roll music when it first came out, and the fantasy, whenever I couldn't, you could see why the other ones were kind of disturbing old farts and everything. All right. The fantasy thing I couldn't understand because, what the hell? It goes back to the Bible and Iliad, the Odyssey in Mesopotamia, for Christ's sake. What's your problem? But there was a mentality of this stuff is less than, it's not real art, it's for idiots or fools or juvenile brains or some damn thing. Even illustrators at the time I was doing the rings, the president of the Illustrator Society had a whole what's that crap kind of like attitude. We were having a discussion, if you could call it a discussion. I didn't have much to say to him, but he would say, who's that guy, that Franzetti? I couldn't even pronounce, was that his name? But it was just like swept off the table as junk. And I could never figure out why. That's their problem, not mine. They were the ones that were losing out. But it was just a strange prejudice. So nobody showed up. No professional illustrators showed up. I guess that's why we got the job.
Well, as lucky breaks go, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But we pitched in. We gave it out. I give everything, every job I do, every process, whether it's a job or for myself or for somebody else, I give it 1,000,000,000% of my focus, energy, and enthusiasm. And with the rings, it was like, come on, it's pretty easy to do for anybody that's into fantasy and in the world of imagination. My God, we're so loaded. And so we did it for 3 years. We did 3 of them, and then we decided to do our own story, Ursharak, and then tried to get that off the ground as a film in Hollywood. And got John Dykstra on board, he was in there, and Dennis Linton Clark, screenplay writer. He had just done Comes a Horseman. He was writing the screenplay. But it put more or less sank under its own undoability at the time, because Star Wars was made for $10 million. Dykstra said he could do our thing for 30. And then Joseph E. Levine, who was a film producer, he did all the big pictures. He did a lot of, The Bridge Too Far was the one that he had just done when he looked at our presentation. And he said, it's going to cost $145 million. So it kind of like sank under, and that kind of the William Morris agency pulled out at that point. Didn't go, and they were afraid about fantasy again still, because everything had to be Star Wars, everything had to be space, and nobody was running. Conan was underway. So they said, well, wait, they liked our pitch, they liked our story, they liked our take, they liked everything about it. Most studios, we showed it to everybody, all the big guys, and they liked it, and they said, well, let's wait and see what Conan does. Well, I couldn't, I had to go on and make a living. So I went on and did other stuff, Yeah, it's kind of interesting on how things go through. Like animation was always, comics were always disposable shit. When you want to talk about comics in the movies back in the old days, I remember they showed the stupid guy in a corner reading a comic book. It was like, and it was derided and put down. Hell, that Shrink, what was it, Wortham, with that book, Seduction of the Innocent.
Oh, Wortham.
Remember, claiming comics caused juvenile delinquency, and then they had comic book burnings. I can remember that. Hell, I was a teenager back then, and that's when my ECT comics all disappeared off the rack, and I couldn't figure out why, because I wasn't aware as a kid back then, but I wasn't aware till later. All that magnificent stuff, Wally Wood and Al Williamson and Frazetta, and oh my God.
All the creepy and eerie stuff and all that, yeah.
Oh yeah, and Weird Science and Tales from the Crypt and everything.
Over the years of all the work you've done, presumably, even you would say the Star Wars piece is the one that's got the most visibility, but what piece gave you the most satisfaction?
I think that probably those dream paintings that I was painting in the 70s, because that was just coming out of my own subconscious. I did several of those. They were really more probing and analytical, if you want to call it that. And I still got a whole bunch of those that I've got lined up that I want to do. And I've been painting my puppets. I collect old toys. I was always a puppet freak as a kid. I used to make them all the time. Marionettes, hand puppets, and string puppets, and ventriloquist puppets. And so I collect these old toys and dolls, and they're all getting old and cracked, because they're all made out of this composite material and everything.
Yeah.
So I paint their portraits now. I paint big giant heads of them, and people seem to like them. I was totally into the photorealist movement for a while in the early 70s. Yeah. And I still am. I appreciate that stuff up to kazoo. But these are very tight, and people say they're weird, but to me, I just like them because they're my old toys, So I get a bang out of doing that stuff. I don't know. I mean, there isn't any one thing. I mean, I've done so much stuff. I can't possibly pick one out,
Presumably you've seen other Star Wars films, apart from the original, I'm assuming. Yeah. I don't know, maybe you haven't. Were there ever any other moments or images from those later films that you thought, I'd really like to take a crack at that?
No, not really.
You nailed it with the first one.
No, I've done a lot of covers from Marvel. I did 3 covers from Marvel, going back to the original movies, redoing their original comics, reprinting them in the heavy book form. Yeah, I remember. So I did that was fun to do. I love doing those, and I did one of Phasma character for them, and that was fun to do, the flamethrower people. No, there isn't any one thing. No, there isn't anything. I'll probably be doing some more covers for them, more than likely. But no, there isn't any one thing.
If you had a phrase that somebody would use to describe the work that not just yourself, but your brother Tim did as well, what phrase would you like to have laid against your name, that your body of work? What do you think that phrase would be?
I don't. He tried.
Greg Hildebrandt, you and me talked about Greg a little while ago. You've got some of his original art.
Loosely.
Oh, yeah, it's cool though. How would you concisely describe to somebody that was new to Star Wars how important his artwork, and Tim, obviously his brother, him and Tim's artwork was in those early days of Star Wars?
Oh, it's iconic. I mean, the fact that they used those motifs across other licensed packaging goods shows you that what they did worked. It made things much bigger than it actually was intended for. It's an iconic piece of artwork without necessarily really, you might not necessarily see that, but it's those motifs that then carried through to the other products, and that's really, really the strength of what it is there, and makes it much bigger than it ever was. I mean, it's huge. It's the iconic Star Wars poster, but it made it even bigger than what it was, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I've not considered the thought that, like you say, that Luke and Leia image was all across the original Star Wars branding right up until Empire, really, wasn't it? And Marvel used it, and everybody used it. So, that's a good point. That's not something I'd thought of, and I wish I'd thought of it when I interviewed him. I'm going to have to interview him again now, because I wish I'd thought of that.
Hi, this is Gareth Edwards, director of the best standalone Star Wars film since Caravan of Courage, called Rogue One. You're listening to Fantha Tracks. Enjoy.
One thing that has happened in Star Wars this week, since we last spoke, they've announced another live-action TV series, and I did not see this one coming, and I don't think anybody did. They're doing a Cassian Andor live-action TV show. What do you think about that, man? Personally, I'm stoked for it, but what are your thoughts?
So, not to downplay The Mandalorian or anything connected to that, but I am so much more excited for this than I am with The Mandalorian, principally because it's something that we're familiar with. Rogue One was a great film and introduced us to all these great characters, but you know that the lifespan is limited.
Yes.
Spoiler alert, they all die. But this gives you scope now to revisit a lot of those characters, not just Cassian, but Mon Mothma and General Draven. Please, can we get K2SO in there?
Yeah.
That would just be brilliant. It would be more of the murkier, seedier side of the Rebel Alliance, because that to me is what Cassian represented. Love is not fair. Love is not all good guys and bad guys. And that was shown much better in that early part of Rogue One. That was communicated far more effectively than the DJ bit in The Last Jedi of these guys are selling arms to the good guys and the bad guys, so who are, it was kind of that was too kind of literal and sort of rammed down your throat, whereas this was kind of a bit more desperate and showing that the decisions had to be made that way. And I felt both Cassian and Draven really encompassed that element to it. Really cool. A lot of opportunity there. And Cassian was a really cool character as well. So,
my favourite character from Rogue One.
I was going to say that, what are your thoughts with it?
Oh, I'm stoked. Apart from the fact it kind of lands in a sweet spot for Star Wars. You've got to assume they're going to give the storyline some time to grow. So I would imagine, I don't know, but I would imagine they're going to set it 4 or 5 years before Rogue One, so that if the show really takes off, they've got plenty of time to get all these stories in. But it's like you just said, it's that Dark Rebellion vibe. And the thing I like about it is, okay, Leia is at the top of the food chain in certain respects, and Star Wars is a black hat, white hat sort of film, and it was meant to be. This, with all the murky undertones of what Cassian does at the start with that rebel spy on the rings of Kafrene, takes him out because he doesn't want to get captured, all the things he does, there is remorse, but he'll do it. It's the dark, dirty underworld of being a rebel in that time period. The stuff that I don't think Leia would ever have seen. She got that memory stick at the end, and then on.
Well, not even necessarily Leia at that point. You're talking like Bail Organa, aren't you?
Yeah.
And Mon Mothma.
Yeah.
They're the kind of like the ones that look for the more peaceful solutions from their political backgrounds, whereas he's kind of like, it's not all like that. And I think he even said in Rogue One, I've been in this since I was 6 years old or something like that,
exactly
didn't he?
That.
So like you say, there's plenty of scope to not kind of fully go back, but if you look at where you were at the end of Solo to Rogue One, that's the sort of area that we're kind of like sort of building towards. And that Benthic somehow ends up being between the two, and you got like Saw Gerrera, that there's an element there that you could kind of build.
You've got Enfys Nest and the Cloud Riders, so there's options there, because it's only if they'd set it 5 years before Rogue One, it's only 5 years after Solo. So you've got Enfys Nest and her team who will have progressed. So there's a sequel to Solo. It's around about the same time as Rebels. You've got your Rogue One characters that you can kind of go back and fill in the gaps like they are with Cassian. And I agree, they've got to bring K2SO in it somehow. They've just set up ILM TV. That's another bit of news that's recently broke. So they've got loads of scope. I think they've set all the chess pieces up. I think this could be absolutely blockbuster awesome.
2 TV series.
Or
live action TV series, I should say.
Yeah, and Resistance as well, which is ticking along quite nicely. Hopefully it'll get a bit more eyes on it and keep that going. It's crazy busy time for Star Wars at the moment. Insanely busy.
Hey man, it's me, Kevin Smith, Star Wars fan, Fantha Tracks fan.
Speaking of busy, 2 weekends ago, down in your neck of the woods, in Fordingbridge, you had a LEGO show.
LEGO Day in Fordingbridge.
LEGO Day in Fordingbridge. Like you say, it was lovely and busy. You did it across 2 locations this time, didn't you? You had one in the hall, one in the main hall, where Farthest From and Fantha Day normally is.
That's right.
I was only there for a couple of hours with Ruth, because we were there on holiday, so it all worked out really nicely. And I had the chance to talk to Rhys Knight, who was one of your guests, who's just worked on a LEGO book, a LEGO build book. So this is me and Rhys having a little chat about his LEGO book and LEGO in general. And you'll notice there's a little interjection by a little mini booker, which you will hear. It's quite funny.
So we are sitting at a LEGO show in Fordingbridge in the middle of the New Forest.
We are.
I'm sitting here with Rhys Knight. We are sitting in front of a whole table full of LEGO. And you've got a new book out called Star Wars Ideas. Welcome to the show.
Hiya.
Tell us a little bit about this book you've got on the go.
Okay, well, it was a collaboration between myself and it was Alice Finch, Tim Goddard, Rod Gillies and Kevin Hall. Yeah. So there's 5 of us took part in it. So we were approached by DK. They wanted to do the first sort of ideas book, but based around the Star Wars theme. We were approached by it. We went up to London to their offices in the Strand, did a bit of a brainstorm between a couple of us, and then we went away and we come up with like a load of ideas. And then we were set a task to crack on with those. We needed 50 each.
Okay.
50 each a year.
So you're given pretty much a blank canvas. Obviously,
we are.
It's all
it has to be Star Wars, yeah.
So what was the first... Yeah, that was the question then. What was the first thing that you thought, right, I'm doing that one?
Well, actually, the first thing was they were very keen for us to do what they termed a rapid rebuild.
Right.
Which was they wanted to give us an official set and they wanted us to rebuild it into other things.
Okay.
Pretty much like you used to do in the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah.
I think they really wanted to get back to that. It was an initiative from LEGO. So I took the U-Wing from Rogue One.
Yeah.
And as soon as I got that, I immediately knew one of the models I was going to be able to do. I wanted to make a car out of it because it's a spaceship.
Okay.
I wanted to set myself that challenge, so that was the first thing I built. I built 3 things out of it in the end. It was like a sort of race car for Cassian Andor.
Yeah.
There was like a grav tank, and then some kind of like crane.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing I actually worked because it turned up in a post, and I thought, right, I've got to crack on with this.
Yeah.
So that was the first one I've done. Yeah, the rapid rebuilds. Yeah.
And so, all the same colours, all the same stickers. I mean, what's the idea? Use as many of the pieces?
Yeah, only the pieces in the set as well. And obviously there was a few spares left over. But yeah, just using the figures and it's very much like when you used to have when you was a kid. Yeah. Very much like that. They always had the ideas on the back of what else you can make from this fire helicopter, which they don't really do anymore. But I think they wanted to get back to that kind of that ethos.
Now, obviously, you say you got 50, and your colleagues have got numerous ones to do as well. When you got stuck into it and you started working on it, did any of them surprise you in the sense of I didn't think I'd be able to make that one? The idea didn't come initially and then it came later.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. It's quite a grueling timescale. It's only like 3 or 4 weeks, which seems quite a long time. But for 50 models, and you've got to come up with the ideas as well. Yeah. And it's not just, they wanted things that were educational, games, so you have to come up with games and then build them in a Star Wars theme. Yeah. So, I mean, there's one I built in there, it's very much based on the game Beetle Drive, where you roll a dice, and you basically build up a droid, colourful droid. So, things like that. So, it's quite grueling, and you get into a bit of a flow. Yeah. You start building one thing, and as you're looking for parts for it, you're finding parts for it, and it sparks your imagination. So you could be building one thing, but by the end of it, you'd have like 2 or 3 things, sort of 2/3 of the way there. So you have to refine them a bit. And so I say some things just literally fall out your brain, and other things you spend a day working on. Yeah. Like the Bantha, it literally. That was a 10-minute build. Yeah. And it just came together, whereas the trash compactor had to be the best part of a day. Yeah. So
I can well imagine.
Yeah.
So which one are you the proudest of? In terms of just inventing this, and secondly in terms of usability and things that
I like my Vader's lightsaber. I like my... It's quite sturdy, so you can pick it up, you can wave it around a bit. Luke's one's a little bit flimsy, but Vader's one's quite sturdy. Yeah. And I also like my K-Wing, because that's an original design of ship.
Yes.
And actually, a funny story, when we went to go to the DK offices late on in the project, and have like a Skype call with the designers in LEGO, the brand manager, and the brand manager for Star Wars took my K-Wing and said it was super cool in his Danish accent. So
that bodes well.
Yeah, so coming from the brand manager, that's got to be good.
Well, there's a book coming out called Alphabet Squadron, isn't there? So
yeah, exactly. I've added to that, and also Tim did a G-wing, and there's a few others in there as well. So
you've got a limited amount of time, because obviously books take time to print and ship. And all that so you've got a limited amount of time. You get to your 50, you hit your 50.
Yeah.
Were you still flowing with ideas? My question being, if you'd have been asked to do 100, do you think you could have kept it going?
You know what? No, I was pretty much burnt out by the 50. I was struggling in the last sort of 5 or 6. I was really struggling because there's certain things you can't touch on. I mean, I'd had.
Beat you!
Oh no! That's someone beating my speed build challenge.
Yeah, you've gone down there.
Yeah. Where was I? Yeah, so the last 5 or 6. But I mean, I built Han Solo's blaster.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't want it because it's a gun.
Sure.
So there's certain things that even when you've built them, they say no. Yeah. We still need another. It's not part of the 50. So certain things do get knocked back after a while. So, but things like the Naboo head. That was one of the last ones I did.
That's
and again, that really flowed. That was one of those ones I was literally done in about 10 minutes.
Well, when I looked, because I was stood above the table looking down at it, I couldn't place.
Couldn't quite get it, but as soon as you get down at minifig level.
Exactly. You're looking up at it, it's like, there it is.
I should really get some Gungan minifigures to put around it.
That's a good idea.
It's a phrase you won't hear often, is I really need to get a Gungan.
You need more Gungans.
Yeah.
More Gungans.
You don't hear that often.
Not more cowbell, more Gungans.
Yeah.
So what are your hopes for the book? Hoping that it inspires kids to take their
absolutely.
Steps and do their
I'm hoping that kids take it away and they see that with their box of parts, they can build something from a universe that they're invested in, and build it for themselves. And LEGO may not do an official set. They can't possibly make sets of every single thing that's in the films. I'm hoping that some kids take away that and they look at their box of bricks and go, you know what, I can do that. I've got bricks like that. Yeah. We all love to see these huge, beautiful 8-foot tall hydras and dragons, but they're out of the realms of 99.9% of fans of LEGO.
Yeah.
Whereas I hope the books like this, it's within grasp.
And what's next for you?
Well, what's next for me? I've got another book coming out from another publisher. That's a book on mosaics. So that's more like almost, if you think of like a painted by numbers kind of thing. So you get the plan, you get the list of bricks, then you go off and build them.
Yeah.
And I've just finished the Robo Skull.
That's amazing. That is totally cool. Totally cool.
Yeah.
And I know it's a Star Trek guy as well. You've got the Enterprise over there.
The Enterprise has been around for a couple of years now. It had to go in for a bit of a refit this week. It's been rebuilt basically from the ground up. Yeah, it's almost like the motion picture.
Wow.
It had to be rebuilt from the ground up because, 2 years of driving around in the back of my car, it tends to get a bit of a beating.
Warp speed 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So the idea for that is I'm going to expand on the range. So I've got a Bird of Prey that's nearly done. I'm working on the Reliant.
Yeah.
I just want to do all the movie ones. I want to do Birth Class.
Yeah.
Build up to Excelsior, because Excelsior is about twice the size of the Enterprise.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big goal.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
Brilliant.
Yeah, to work up to do all the movie ones.
Awesome.
Well, all the original movie ones, not next gen.
No, that's fair.
Because the Galaxy class would be vast.
I was going to say, fill this room, wouldn't
it would be vast, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for your time, man.
No, my pleasure, man. Thank you.
We've got to tune out. We've got to go because I've got to cook my tea. I don't know what you're doing, but I'm cooking chicken stir fry tonight, so I've got to move.
Ooh, I'm coming round yours.
You're more than welcome. There's enough for 3.
I'm off to go to do body pump.
Wow.
Can you
do it for me because I'm not doing body pump tonight. So if people wanted to find you outside of your body pump experience, Dave, where could they go to soak up a little bit of the tree juice?
What? No one's touching my sap. You can find me at All the Cool Stuff, which is our toy retail shop on the edge of the New Forest down in Hampshire. You can find us on Facebook at All the Cool Stuff. Alternatively, you can come and find us on Fantha Tracks TV on YouTube. So if you just type in Fantha Tracks, you'll come and see our wonderful channel. Please subscribe. Watch the many videos that Martin Keeler has been putting up. Plus, there's a few other odds and ends. There's been a brand new Matt Booker one today, which is reviewing the Brickhead's Boba Fett. What a surprise!
I know.
You'll see content there from all the rest of the Fantha team. So come along and say hello there. Mark, if I want to find you and say, cook us a chicken stir fry, where can I find you?
Apart from the kitchen, which is where I do my best cooking, funny enough, you can find me online on Twitter at prefect_timing. I'm the idiot behind the Fantha Tracks Twitter feed as well. You can email me, mark@fanthatracks.com, and I'm always in the back end of the website, noodling around and doing stuff. There's stuff happening all over the place, so we're going to rock on out of this episode. Thank you, Dave.
We'll see you on the next episode.